All right, y'all, let's talk about this one. Gabriella Fernandez defeats Julija Stoliarenko. Had to watch this one again because I was on the move, just catching little glimpses here and there of the fight. But I did pick Gabby going into this one. I thought she was just the overall more younger, stronger, youthful, uh, more polished fighter when it came down to it. Julia Stoliarenko, dangerous when she's on the ground when it comes to her arm bars, but as far as getting the fight to the ground and her striking, just levels down still, just levels down. And I think that there's still a lot of work that needs to be done with her at this point. I'm like, will things change? I don't think so. So somebody like Gabriella Fernandez, who learned from her mistakes in her UFC debut, her fight against Teresa Bleda, Jasmine Jazz the Vicious. I think, she's definitely been stepping it up. First off, I got to say the things I like about Gabby going into this fight was, her footwork, her angles. I like how she was, using the pivot, stepping out of the way of those big shots of Stoyarenko. But I really like the much improved takedown defense. She was stopping the takedowns, using the fence well, getting good reversals, fighting for the underhooks to, just outstrength Stoyarenko all the way and just go back to the center and repeat. But I really like that body attack from Gabriella Fernandez early in the fight. I mean, first round right away, I like how Stoyarenko was working the lead leg. It looked like she was, trying to chew up the lead leg to, slow the fight down so she could get on the inside and maybe get the fight to the ground. But she kind of lost that momentum when Gabby started to, circle out and started countering more and landing that left hand to the body. So whenever Gabby started turning it up to the body in like the halfway point of the first round, you could see like Stoyarenko giving that respect because those body shots were hurting. She was landing the straight left hand, then she was going to the body with the kicks, then she was going upstairs with some good straight left hands. So she was mixing the attack up late in the round. So you could see how Stoyarenko was starting to respect her. So the first round started off competitive, but I had to give it to Gabby, because she ended it nice with the body attack and, just hurting Stoyarenko with those big shots. But going into the second round, I think Gabby kind of stepped her game up, started using her striking to the best of her ability here. She opened up a big cut on Stoyarenko with the right jab as Stoyarenko was just, diving in head first, with the level change. She got caught, got cut with the right jab. And then Stoyarenko was just getting pieced up. She was just getting pieced up in the second round. Every time she would try to step in with those takedowns, she was just getting denied. She was eating that right hook, and Gabby was just, stepping to the side, landing these good hard single shots and just measuring her with the jab. And then boom, hit her with the right kick to the left kick to the body. The one thing I will say about Gabby is I think she was being a little stingy at times. Like the stoppage was there in the second round, I believe, because she did catch Gabby. Gabby did catch Stoyarenko with a good left head kick, but she didn't really build off of it. I think it was like less than a minute left in the round, but she just didn't build off the shot. I still think that her mind is more on defense, like trying to avoid getting taken down and just like moving on the back foot. But there was a lot of good counter opportunities where I think she could have stopped Stoyarenko in the second round. Because going into the third round, that could have been a dangerous round where she could have lost because Stoyarenko turned it up. Stoyarenko, luckily for Gabby, her striking IQ was low and she was just throwing a lot of big haymakers that were missing and, just doing a lot of clinching that didn't really amount to any takedowns. So Gabby was lucky on that. So moving forward, I think, whenever Gabby gets these girls in trouble and she starts to really land these shots, she's got to land those heavy stinging counters off the back foot, not just look to move out of harm's way. Because I believe one of the judges had it 29-28, giving Stoyarenko the third round. Because, Gabby was moving a lot more and she was getting hit with some shots from Stoyarenko in the third round. So, yeah, I think Stoyarenko could have edged it out in the third round, but I did give Gabby the third round, in my opinion. I thought it was 30-27. So yeah, overall, I think Gabriella Fernandez, her striking ability, as far as her movement is there and she has power, but sometimes I think she just needs to set her feet and stand her ground sometimes and fight off fight off her jab and, you know, use little subtle movements instead of like big movements. So that won't take away like opportunities for big knockouts, So moving forward, I think that's what she's really going to need. Like if you look at a Natalia Silva, when she's awkward and moving, she still has those opportunities where she catches somebody with like a big shot. So that's what makes her a little bit more dangerous. But I think Gabriella Fernandez is dangerous with her hands and those kicks. But sometimes when she's creating so much space, like she's running out of the way of the takedowns, it kind of denies her own opportunity of, like I said, like some big shots. But overall, here, Stoliarenko, D plus defense, and she's just running straight in, and her takedowns aren't really that dangerous. You know, she was easy to kind of get pieced up here. So I was like, all right, maybe she should stop her. Maybe she should make that statement. But other than that, I see Gabriella Fernandez making some improvements. And with that being said, she's on a 3-fight win streak, and y'all know what I say. All right, when a fighter wins 3 unranked opponents against 3 unranked opponents in a row, they deserve a ranked opponent. So for me, I would like to see Gabby return maybe by the end of the year against Casey O'Neill. That's a good fight. If Casey O'Neill is ready and looking for an opponent, that would be a good fight. Because I think for Casey O'Neill making a return after such a long layoff, she needs to take on an unranked opponent. So that'd be the next fight I would make. As for Stoliarenko, might be time that she hangs it up or goes back to Invicta or LFA or something like that. But I don't see her being in the UFC for another fight after this one. I mean, we can take a look at her resume here right now. Let's see, how many fights has she won in the UFC? Did she beat Molly McCann? I think that's like the only fight she won, right? Let me see. Molly McCann, she's 11-9 in the UFC. Yeah, she did armbar Molly McCann. She beat Jessica Rose Clark, and that's it. Yeah, she lost her UFC debut in 2020. Diana Santos. Let's see, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, she's 2-6. 2-6. So with the girls getting better in this division as well, I don't really think that it'd be wise to stick around, So yeah, I think she'll probably get cut off of this one. 2-6 in the UFC. What do y'all think? Let me know in the comment section. Hit that like and subscribe. Combo Breaker 99. I'm out. Peace.